And boom, just like that, it's Wednesday night.
Again, man, it's going by fast again, man.
Yeah, it is starting to go by fast. And it seems like, well, and it's Wednesday Night Tech Talk Live brought to you by WAF Racing.
Right.
So it's the only Wednesday Night Tech Talk show you're going to get actual answers.
Right. And there it is right up there. If you want to, I love that you donate to us. That's awesome. Thank you. But please go over to WAF Racing, buy something from them, help sponsor the guy who sponsors this to bring it to you for free. That way there's no commercials and you're not getting interrupted and having some downtime with us. So,
well, starting from the top, we got Danny Boyd is here, Miss Catgy, Fab Race Mod Repeat. Hello from Fab Race Mod Repeat Layer, Bruce Cultgen, Colleen Tebow, Buff Del Campo, KS Skyhawk, One-Eyed Cat, Slant Daily Garage, What's Up Suckers, Tom Brown, Frankenstein C20, who says Happy April Fool's Day. And let's see who else we got in here. Dan's Garage, Andrew Nelson, SSR Performance, What Up My Triple Crown Brethren, and Michael Schmidt. Well, speaking of Triple Crown, I got my transmission issues solved. I traded the Easy 302 for a Tex Racing T101.
Here's something interesting. Tom Brown posted something here that's actually really was. Saw a quote about the Artemis 2 liftoff at OHP. Not really sure.
0 horsepower.
Huh?
0 horsepower.
At
747 miles an hour, 18 million horsepower.
Oh, okay.
At
0
velocity, 157,500 miles per hour, 410 million horsepower.
That's a lot. Yeah. Correction. Orbital velocity was 17,500 miles per hour, not 157. Yeah. Fat fingers. Yeah. I figured I was like, whoa, 157 miles per hour. That's a little 1,000 miles per hour.
That's about 20 Mach.
I would say 17.5. That's about right there for your escape velocity. But yeah, that's getting it, man. That's getting it.
Let's see. All
Andrew
right.
Nelson popped in.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Triple Crown. What you got for Triple Crown? Explain. Sorry to interrupt.
I said that when we started.
I know.
I said I was out because I had my transmission ended up being a pile of garbage, and then I ended up trading the Easy 302 for Tex Racing T101. So
tell them how awesome it is.
Well, it's pretty awesome. It's about like what I had, only better. So it's been professionally built, and it has a Hurst super competition shifter on it. So I was pretty happy with that. And that'll put me back in the running. I will probably make it to No Name Nationals now.
So awesome.
I know. I want to run the Triple Crown. And I want to run something that's different than old hat. So
Ron's asking the question. Question number 1: direct connection offered once. Porting templates for big block Mopars. Did anyone ever offer porting templates for small block Mopars? Yes, I actually have the small block ones somewhere. I have their plastic templates, and they came and you had to cut them out, and then you would put them in different areas, and they told you where to put them at. But yes, I do have those somewhere. And I did have the big block ones and the small block, and I also had the small block for like the regular heads, and then the small block one for the W2 heads as well. Have to find them. I know they're here somewhere, because remember, I did move across the country 1,700 miles, so they're somewhere.
Yeah, Vintage Adventure Drive says, howdy folks, I'm about to go continue the moving process. So he's moving into his own place.
Oh, sweet. Congratulations, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. And let's see, Danny Boyd says straight cut gears. No, it still has all the same gears as like a T10 4-speed, except for their high nickel 9310.
Oh, okay. Let's see here.
Mostly old parts. Ron Ward says, Shane, who made the small block Mopar templates?
It was basically Mopar. It was actually,
wasn't it Mopar Performance or Direct Connection?
Maybe it was one of the two. I don't remember, but it came in a book. It was a porting book by Mopar, and in the back it was like a little sleeve that you would buy that was inside there. That was kind of like that modeling plastic. It was flexible, and then you literally cut it out with scissors, and then it was template, and then the big block ones were like the little twist off plastic ones, like you would use when you had like a model. When you built a model, they'd come on those little twist off deals. It was something like that. I don't remember, but it was in a Mopar performance book for head porting.
And Colleen Tebow says she sees a little broader. So Wyatt is here with me. That's this week. I probably won't have any new videos past the Mad Scientist Monday, just because Wyatt's here for spring break. So I got him for the whole spring break. So we've been doing stuff together every day. I haven't been shooting any videos or wrenching on anything.
Well, that's good, because that's
tomorrow is my 50th birthday.
50.
Yeah. One foot in the grave, the other on a banana peel. Yeah, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, 50 years old. So we're gonna go do something for my birthday.
Any big plans? Anything you got planned?
Nah, I think we're gonna go see a movie. What is it? Project Hail Mary seems to be getting some serious reviews. So I haven't seen it. I haven't even seen the whatever they call it, the trailer for it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Bobby Frizzell is sitting here saying, dropping in for a few. Been testing some new things on the Galaxy, making a few passes. Man, you better have her all tuned up. We got a match race at No Name Nationals.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I've almost got an oil pan done, and I'm almost having an oil pan on the slant 6 that's going in Plan Z, and you're going to start seeing some things moving forward. I've procrastinated long enough on not doing anything on the car, so now I'm going to start doing some stuff on it.
Well, it'd be good to see Plan Z out there actually running right and good
and straight.
Yeah,
where you turn the wheel and it goes somewhere. And
Yep, that was a big plus.
Yeah, be a big plus.
Yeah,
with the trans brake too. I'm going to be hitting that thing with the trans brake. It's got a 2500 stall on it, so it's going to be right to the floor on full boost, popping, and then release the trans brake. It's going to be pretty badass.
You're going to use that turbo from the 301 Pontiac, right?
Yeah.
Sweet.
And it's going to be sucked through, so I'm probably going to have either a 650 or 750 VRS on it. I'm not sure, because you got to run a little bigger of a carburetor when you put the carburetor on top. When it's a suck through deal, you got to run almost twice the carburetor size, because otherwise it restricts the carburetor, the turbo. I'm sorry.
Well, that's because it's pulling all the air through for the engine and then the boost.
Yeah,
so essentially double the cubic inch. So honestly, like if that thing makes 10 pounds of boost, it'd almost be like having a 440 Mopar in there.
Pretty much. Yeah, I'm expecting it. I would like it to make 400 horse. If I could make 400 horsepower out of the thing, and maybe 450 foot-pounds of torque, I would be really happy with that setup. And the gear in it is a 456 gear, and it's going to have a 28-10-50 tire on it, so it's going to be really over geared. It really needs probably a 410 or a 391 for how light it is.
I don't know. I think in the 8th mile it might be okay.
Yeah, it's going to be quick. It's going to be like 1, 2, then 3.
Yeah. Well, Loutburn says young shop foreman is here to push the projects forward. Happy 50th youngster. He's we've been doing yard work. I've been putting new gardenias in the flower beds since they all died during the winter. So I've had him out doing yard work. Tom Brown says that a steady throttle input at cruise, fuel flows through jets at given rate. If kept steady, will carb flow more fuel? If car starts going up a hill, will load cause more pull on the carb? Okay, load won't. If everything's at a steady given rate, nothing will change.
Nope.
The only thing that possibly would change is if it does go uphill, and then that allows the bowls to fill with more fuel because the floats aren't level. You'll get more head pressure on the jet, and it could cause it to actually get a little bit richer. But I don't think most of the carburetors were considered to be like, I want to say 20 degrees off center before you started having problems with it at a different weird angle. I know most carburetors have a hard time with like off-road stuff, but like when you get off-road, that's more than like say 20 degrees. It's usually ridiculous.
Yeah, and in most hills that you're going to have are going to be like going up and down are going to be 6 to 7% at max. You might have a driveway that's going to someone's house. That'll be steeper, but it'll be concrete. But if you're going up the hill at a steady rate and you're going like this and nothing changes, what's going to happen is there's going to be more load, and you would have to usually increase throttle to keep the same amount of speed. So what's going to happen is you're going to slowly slow down, and then vacuum goes down, power goes down. It's just going to be a cascading thing as it falls down. Eventually, it might slow down to a point where it catches itself and it doesn't slow down anymore, but it's not definitely not going to keep accelerating.
It'll probably drop down a gear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mostly old parts are on board says, went fishing last Saturday for the first time in 5 years, had a blast. We were talking about doing some fishing this week too, huh? Maybe. Yep. Got to get ready for that camping trip to Michigan.
Oh, when are you going to that? That sounds awesome.
Well, we're going to do that this summer. I try to take them on a vacation once a year. So in the summertime, we generally go when he's out of school. Last year we went out to the East Coast and visited with Fab Race Mod Repeat headquarters, and then visited with my aunt, and then we hit some water slides, Silky Mountain Water Park. And then the year before that, we did the Dollywood.
Oh,
yeah. But this year we're going to go, I think, camping up in Michigan on Lake Superior and pan for some gold and do some fishing and just hang out and have a bonfire.
You know, when I was on Six Smokies, I drove through all that area of the Gatlinburg and all that. What was that? Pigeon Forge, drove right down that. It was actually really cool. I definitely want to go back to that area at some point, because it kind of reminded me a lot of like some of the mountain towns that I'm used to in California, like Big Bear and all that kind of stuff. It kind of had that same sense without the massive mountains there, but there were some good hills there, but it was still it was nice to see.
Oh, so Vintage Adventure Drive says that the drag scamp is in the new shop. I'll be working on it for a lot here pretty soon. I'm ready to have that car track legal. Well, it's coming around the corner, my friend. So, and then there's Tony's here.
What's up?
That should come back sometime, man.
It should come back. That was like one of the best entire commercials they ever did.
Oh, Michael Schmidt's got an awesome one. Shock questions. What does 90-10 shocks do differently than regular shocks? Well, it goes up easy and doesn't come down. So that it goes up 10 and then comes down. So the valving is set so that way it extends but doesn't fall back down. So that way you keep your weight transfer. And if you drive this on the street, I did. It's really sketchy in turns because it wants to go up and then it'll stay like that and slowly come back down. So when you go around a corner, like on a freeway on-ramp, the car just wants to oink around the corner like this. Super sketchy.
They're not fun to drive on the street. In all actuality, the best thing to do is get a variably valved shock that has multiple settings, and then you set it for 90-10 at the drag strip and you put it back to 50-50 after you're done, because like Shane says, it wallers like a pig going around on ramps and just city blocks, and it's just, they're horrible to drive on the street.
Ron's asking, with that gear, are you going to be able to load the engine enough to take advantage of the boost? Here's the thing is that I don't know. That I really don't believe so, because the car is so light, but I am dealing with low power numbers, not like 600 horse. Now, I had that gear in my car when I had the 29-inch tires, and it was set up for that in a quarter mile. When I would do the 8th mile, I would put the 28-inch tires on it and race it. So is it going to be I don't know. I really don't. Mathematically, it's like it's right in the middle. It's not really the best, but I'm going to be leaving on a trans brake, but I'm dealing with really low horsepower numbers, not 600 or 700. I'm dealing with like maybe 4.
I think you're going to be surprised. I think what's going to happen is that thing has a 28-inch tall tire, which factory on them was probably like 24, 25, 26, right? And then I think really what's going to happen, having that much converter, if you're leaving on a trans brake and you can get the RPM up, I think that thing's going to be surprising, because it's probably going to leave on 7 to 10 pounds of boost. It's going to feel like a lot more than what it is. And then what's really going to be cool about it is literally going to be flat tracking probably from about the 8th mile, like, or the 8th mile, about the 330 on to the 8th mile.
Yeah, and it's
I
got
think
lockup. So I'm going to go, and I can lock it up in second. So I'm going to basically launch it in first. I'm going to come up and I'm going to try different scenarios. But I think what's going to happen is I'm going to launch it. And as soon as that RPM comes up, I'm going to pull second. So that way I stay back on the converter. And as soon as the RPM starts to go up, I'm going to lock that thing in. And I'm going to shift it from second to third, fully locked up. I don't care. If I blow it up, I blow it up.
I would literally lock it up in first and shift it to first, second, and lock up. Can it do that?
It can, but I don't. I want to take advantage of the converter because I want to be able to, because it's got a 277 first gear, because it's even has a low gear. Is I want to get to that 154. So I'm literally going to launch it, and as soon as that car transitions, I'm going to pull second gear, so that way I'm on the converter getting the value because I want to load the.
I know as soon as my diesel truck locked up the converter, that's where it had the most like pull.
Yeah, but I don't have that kind of torque though. See, my truck did the same thing. Mine would lock up and then goes. I'm going to go 1, 2, and lock it up in second. So it's going to be locked up way before maybe the 100-foot mark. It's going to be probably locked up.
I think you're underestimating this thing. Okay, I think you're really underestimating because think about it. It is probably what 225 cubic inches, if not 230.
It's 234, I think, is what it is.
Okay, it is literally going to be like a Grand National. Right,
without the RPM though,
huh?
It's only gonna. It's not. Doesn't have the RPM. I'm only going to go to
the RPM. The Buicks don't like to spin over 5,200, right? So that thing, I'm telling you, is going to be like a Grand National. It's going to surprise you. It's going to leave like a 6-cylinder and need that converter to get it moving with that low first gear and the low rear end gear.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as it gets up into like that 2,500 or whatever, that's where that turbo is really going to come on hard. And that thing's going to pull like a freight train.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping so. So, like I said, I'm going to go out there with what I have. I do have extra gears here. Now that car has got 40 splined axles in the shaft, so it's not like I can just put a different chunk in it. I actually physically have to change the gears. But I have a 430 gear set that's been cryo treated and frozen to Richmond, and I also got some 391 gears. I don't have any 411s. I really would like a 411, but anyways, I'm going to try it out. I'm just going to use what I have and see what happens. Who knows? It could be perfect.
I think it's going to be fun no matter what. It'll definitely be fun to try to figure that thing out, right? Michael Schmidt's saying I got a front disc conversion with stock rear drums and master cylinder. What other mods are necessary, if any? Okay, you're going to, if it's a front disc conversion, probably had drums to begin with. You're going to want a master cylinder that's 4 disc drums because the volume of fluid that's needed in the front is considerably more than what's needed in the rear.
And also, too, those if you've got disc master cylinders, they're going to have a residual valve inside there for like 10 psi. Where on a so something that's like a disc is not going to have that. So you're going to want to change that at least, and then some sort of proportioning valve, even an adjustable one or something. So that way you can take some and you can adjust the rear brake bias because it's going to put so much pressure to the rear in relationship to the front.
Yeah, if you're doing a custom kit, the easiest thing to do is just get it like a Willwood adjustable proportioning valve and put it on the rear line and then just dial that thing in because it's especially when you're talking a hodgepodge system, right, that didn't come on a car. If you went and got like, let's just say a master cylinder or a proportioning valve off of like a 70 Dodge Dart that had disc brakes, okay, it would be different than what your combination is because I'm sure you don't have a 70 Dodge Dart and you're not using the wheel cylinders out of a 70 Dodge Dart in the rear. So the best thing to do is get that adjustable proportioning valve and just stick it in line with the rear line and then dial that thing in and it'll be set for your combination because generally once you set it, it's set. That'll be that. Let's see. Most roll parts Ron Ward saying that the white bass are starting to run. Get some cheap chartreuse and white twister tail jigs and get after them. We'll see what we can do. We plan on doing some fishing this week.
Ron's absolutely correct here. If your city has potholes, you will not enjoy those 90-10 shocks on the street 100% because they do not go down. They only go up. They literally are. They're like bricks. It sucks.
Well, it's compression and rebound, right? It's 90%. It's 90% rebound and 10% compression. That's what that is. So it's the valving is reversed, right?
It's actually reversed. So rebound is up. So it goes up 10% and it comes down 90%.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So it goes up really easily and it stays there.
Right. And it's meant to do that.
Yeah. Trying to do math, horsepower and torque needed for 60 miles an hour up a steep grade near me, 9.3% without changing throttle input, a 1-to-1, 323 gear, and a 3,645 pound car. That's something I can't do here on my phone. Send that to, if you just send that to, was it Polito at edelrock.com? I can do that for you. That's a simple, easy deal. I just don't have my calculator here to do that for you. That's easy.
Andrew Nelson says, Shane, what trans are you using?
Ooh, that's the custom trans. It's actually it's a 904, and it's a with an A998 and A999 internals, and it has one of one basically valve body. So it's a reverse manual valve body, trans brake, with lockup, and yeah, it was Cope Racing did it. Oh, and it's got low band apply, so it's gonna be kind of cool. It's something I had all the transmission parts, so it was actually kind of cool to make a 904 do what I wanted to do. Plus, I'm dealing with very low numbers, so I wanted a really efficient transmission. The next one is definitely going to be an 8 HP 70, so because those don't take much power to turn, considering what they can do. And that way I'll have all the gears in the world.
Let's see. Bruce Colton is saying, is there a place you can get a Mr. Gasket vertical gate shifter parts? Oh, dude, the best place to do that is probably like eBay or Marketplace. It would have to be something secondhand. I don't think they make anything new.
Mr. Wilbur saying, I can see it came up that Dallas is closer to 70 than 30 tomorrow.
Won't be, well, yeah. I guess the day after tomorrow I'll be closer to 70 than 30. I'll be at the crest point, yes, tomorrow.
What's that?
Oh, well, I'll literally be what, 19 years from 30, 20 years from 30, at 50 years old tomorrow on the day. Yeah. But then after that, I start getting closer to 70 than 30.
Oh, now I understand. He's talking about years. Okay, I thought he was talking about temperature, and I'm like, what? Okay, yeah. No, I got it. Yeah.
SSR Performance says, Shane, Edelbrock Group got anything going for 8 HP trans controllers?
Next question.
So is that a no at the moment?
I just can't talk about that.
Well, dude, do they have anything for sale at the moment that you can talk about?
Oh, no, nothing's for sale right now.
Okay, so nope.
But that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. If you catch my drift, can't tell you when. All I can tell you is I'm just not going to talk about it right now.
E15 summer blend to hit the pump soon. Will this be in every gas pump? What would be the best option? Mods, additives? Oh man, that is such a broad, open-ended question. Okay. Well, they're doing this to keep the gas prices lower.
Yeah.
Will this be in every gas pump? Hopefully not, because in Tennessee, there's gas pumps that don't even have any ethanol, and those are the ones I prefer to use in my lawnmower and small engines that sit a lot.
Right? Or wife's car, the Beaver. That's what I put. I call it diet fuel.
Yeah, well, it's like literally ethanol just makes the fuel system suck. If you got a carbureted car, the more ethanol you add, the more suck you have, right? What would be the best option? The best option, if you could, is if it really is going to 15% ethanol. A carbureted car has a difficult time with that. You're going to have to change the metering on it, most likely, to get it to run right. The 10% was not that big of a deal. It just leaned them out a bit, right? But 15%, you're starting to get to a point now where you're going to have to start messing with jets and metering rods. Mods and additives. If it was me and I was running a carbureted car, I would try to buy non-ethanol fuel.
Yeah.
That's the best thing.
In my car, in the green car, it didn't make a hill of bean difference. I've put
it's probably not consuming that much fuel.
Yeah, exactly. So in the green car, the green Dart, it didn't make any difference. Even on when I was on Six Smokies, we had to buy E15 at some places because that's all there was. Didn't make a hill of beans. In the wife's car, it's a single barrel and it uses a much higher velocity through that carburetor. It makes a big difference in that car. So it really comes down to your setup in your car and how the carburetor is set up, and also to how it's jetted. The green, both of them are jet literally perfect. They cruise at 14.7, 15.1, right in that range, going down the freeway. But the wife's car will actually get almost half a point leaner with the E15, where the green car doesn't. You can't even tell that I have E15 in it. So.
And then SSR Performance is asking, is E15 allowed in Triple Crown now? Since it's going to be 15%. Sure, knock yourself out.
Well, hey, you say that, then that means that he can push it even 5% more. So he's going to put the E20, and he's looking for any way to cheat, any advantage possible.
Uno is saying, does anyone know of a 71.2 Mercury Comet GT for sale, all original? Nope.
Yeah. Is the residual valve for the disc or the drums? For the drum part, there usually is about a 10 pound or a 5 pound residual in those, and that's because when you hit them, instead of them coming all the way back, they'll hold them open slightly. So when you push on the brakes, they'll hold them back. It's slightly there because they got the big heavy spring on top. Even if they're adjusted correctly, it just holds them open just a tiny bit, so that way you don't have to pump them twice. But if it's on a disc brake and you hit it and it's residual, and I found this out the hard way, because I put disc brakes on my car and didn't change the master cylinder, and it literally just kept the front brakes locked up.
One-Eyed Cat saying, went from Ford drum to disc drum. What four master cylinder should I order? 62 Valiant. Isn't there early four manual brake systems that you could get on a Dodge A body that were like disc drum?
Yeah, 75. So 74, 75. That's what I put on my car. It's disc and drum in the back, and it works just fine. And it's a 4-bolt, and it goes right on there, so you don't even have to have a brake booster on it. So yeah, it's a good 75. Get disc drum up front, and I think they're like $60 at O'Reilly's, so they're cheap. But that's what I would get, and that's actually what I put on Plan Z. I literally got one. If you watch some of the videos of me doing the brakes on it, I tell you exactly which part to get, and it goes right in there and it bolts right up, and it's disc drum, and it has that thing already set in it.
Muscle Car Solution says, Shane, you're okay to talk about the DW carb regulator.
Where's that at?
Mr. Wilson at
Mr.
724. Yeah, Muscle Car Solutions says, Shane, you're okay to talk about the DW carb regulator.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, here it is. Okay. I didn't bring it in here. It's downstairs. I was actually going to make a video on it before I talked about it on here. But Deutschwerks, okay? So Mr. Wilson, he gets obviously Muscle Car Solution gets all the cool stuff. And so Mr. Wilson was like, hey, you want to talk about this and check this out? So I'm going to put it on my car, and I'm going to check it out. So what's cool about this Deutschwerks, I wish I had it here, regulator, is that it runs, you can run a regular carburetor, on it, and it goes between like 4 and 10 pounds. But here's the beautiful thing about it is you can run a regular fuel pump, or you can run an EFI fuel pump on this thing, and it will regulate it down all the way down to a carburetor system. So if someone wants to have a later car, like say a 69 Dart, and they want to buy one of those fuel pumps that are in the tank, that way they can pressurize all there, you can run this little regulator, and it's a tiny little sucker, and it's awesome. And it's got ORB in and out, and it's got a huge bypass on it, and that's it catches the fuel so fast, and has as far as keeping it steady. I'm actually going to be doing some jet testing with it for the nitrous, and I'm going to be running 2 different stages on it to show how fast this thing actually adjusts. But I'm actually making a video on it. That's why it's not here right now, Mr. Wilson. So I will do some more about it. But yeah, he got one, and he lives down the street from me, so he let me use it so I can talk about it and do some stuff. But I promise you that I'll have it on here next week, and I'll be talking about it and showing people, because I'll be done doing my testing on it.
Okay, mostly old parts. Ron Ward says the only downside I've had with E15 is fuel system corrosion.
Yes.
So that's I don't know, a negative. A downside for ethanol is the more ethanol you add, the more ethanol related corrosion issues you have in a regular carbureted fuel system, because most of the fuel system is just aluminum, and aluminum and ethanol do not work well together at all.
You know how I get the ethanol out of when I first moved here, they didn't have any ethanol free fuel. I would just get a 5-gallon container. I would put 3 gallons of gas in it, whatever it was, and I would literally put a gallon of water in it and then mark it where it was at. Then I would shake it up, and then the ethanol, the water's going to grab that, and it's going to pull the ethanol out of the fuel. And then when you drain off the fuel, the water, you can pull out the water because it's going to settle differently. And then the rest that's left over is just pure gasoline. And you've taken all the ethanol out of it. So you can do it that way too. If it gets to a point where it's too much. And you can literally see the difference between the fuel. So you could just put water in your gasoline, shake it up. It will literally separate itself, and just do that 3 or 4 times, and it will pull all the ethanol out of the fuel.
Talk about a lot of work, though.
It is. It is, but it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah. Michael Schmidt saying ethanol. Is there an additive that is commonly known to help reduce corrosion in the carb and fuel pump? Okay. Shh. I'm going to give you guys this little hint, this secret. Okay. Way back when, in the Top Fuel days, when everybody was working out of a 20 by 20 garage running Top Fuel cars across the country, they were having this problem because they would essentially, as soon as they got done racing on Saturday or Sunday, they'd have to tear the fuel system down, clean everything with WD-40, and then drain the fuel, right? Well, there is a secret trick to this, because, see, nitromethane used to be cut about 50-50 with methanol, so it lasted a little bit longer, and your engine and combination lasted longer. So guys used to run a whole season on one engine. Now, when the gloves came off in the mid to late 60s, and everybody was running 98%, this was no longer an issue. But before, when they used to put methanol in them, or even if they were a methanol racer, they sell this stuff called top lube. You can buy from I don't remember what it. Good Vibrations. Good Vibrations sells a lot of stuff like that for fuel guys, right? But top lube is essentially transmission fluid. So if you put like a cap, I don't know, if you were to really give it a number, I would say no more than 1 cup of transmission fluid to your full tank of gas, and that will work like top lube and will eliminate the corrosion. But the higher the ethanol content and the longer it sits, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah. Another thing to do is you can use 2-stroke oil, do the exact same thing.
Yep. But it's essentially what it is. It's just a top lube. It's a lubricant that just it sticks and clings to the aluminum parts in the fuel system and keeps the ethanol from breaking it down, quickly.
See, you made a mistake here, Dallas. You said E15 in the Triple Crown. Now he's in. Now we're going to have to start testing fuel. People are going to start mixing. They're going to mix the fuel 50-50 with E85 and gasoline.
Dude, they're dumping it on all the pumps. What can you do about it? What can you literally do about it?
Well, I know you're right. E15, I get it, but they can also run. They could just run the C10. You know what I mean? 110. So if someone's running E15, they can literally, if I can run E15, how will they know if it's not E50?
Look, we made a class that was pump gas friendly.
Yeah.
And they changed the pump gas.
Yeah, I know.
So how are we going to get around this? You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no way. So you're going to have to allow it to run E15, and then you're going to have to allow some variances. We're just going to test you. Yeah. And if it's over the allowable number, which we're going to set, Shane and I will set it.
Yeah,
whatever the allowable number is, and we'll be gracious. We'll give you some room, but you better be testing your own fuel as well.
That's right. Because I've got a tester, and I'll test that.
I'm all for it. We'll test the shit out of it because I mean, it didn't have to be painful, but we can make it painful,
right? Yeah, you guys want to keep pushing the rules, we can just keep making it painful, and that's the whole thing. Is that we want to make it fun, and just the whole idea with the gas is that we just wanted 110 would be the most exotic fuel,
Really,
so that way it's affordable.
We already you said it last week. We already know the number is 37, right? 37% is where you start getting all the benefits of the ethanol and leaving the gasoline behind, right? So 15 is really not going to make any difference whatsoever. But I'm telling you, we're going to have to start testing it because guys will be showing up with 25% ethanol.
Yep.
The closer they get to 37, the game starts to change.
Yep. That's what I was saying. They're going to put that 50-50 mix in there. Oh, and Mr. Wilson saying that it's 3 to 10 range. And if you want to get one, he's saying that it's on sale Monday. So it's at Deutschworks. And go check it out. And if anyone wants one, 10% off. I guess just tell them that's Wednesday Night Tech Talk, that you saw it here, and go check it out. I wish I had it here in my hand, but it's a little tiny thing like this, and it's really awesome looking. It's a really small, and you can fit it anywhere. And it's ORB fittings on it. It's really bitching. Mr. Wilson, you should have texted me before this because I have it downstairs. I have it hooked up to a bunch of. I could actually just take it apart and brought it up here and shown it to anyone.
Mostly old parts Ron Ward says I will occasionally use the Barry Grant fuel system defender when ethanol content is greater than 10%. Good stuff. I think that what you're going to start to find is when they up it to 15%. And you're running a carbureted car, you'll notice it immediately because you'll start having problems with accelerator pumps.
Mean Street Mopar saying he ordered most of the parts he needed for his W2 318. The pistons he ordered were the Keith Black 167 Hybrid Tactics. Awesome. That's a good pistons. For what you're doing, they're really good because they're light enough. They're actually lighter than the Forge ones. And for what you're doing for Triple Crown, it's going to be just fine. You'll love it.
John Wilburn says the 68 Charger used a manual disc master cylinder. Ram Man reproduces them. My Dart Sport has.
Yeah, maybe that's one I got. I don't remember which one I got, but I thought it was a 75 Dart one, but it was like $60 at O'Reilly's. Lifetime warranty.
He was pretending to grab that deal while he can.
Oh,
on the Deutschworks regulator.
Yeah. Yeah, you should go check it out, man. It's a bitchin' thing.
Mean Street Mopar says I ordered most of the parts I need for my W2 318. The pistons I ordered were KB 167 Hyper Tactics.
Yeah, that's the one I just read.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I was going to the one right below it.
Okay, Uno saying I had a 93 Cobra with a 73 Mercury Comet, sold them years back, but looking now for another Cobra Fox body or a Mercury Comet GT. Yeah, Buffdale Campo answers that right below. Mexican Spec has cars like that quite often, so check with Mexican Spec.
Yeah, and he's usually on the lives. Yeah, because he said on Saturday afternoons, he usually bumps in here sometimes, and he bounces back and forth between all these different lives.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he. I think there's someone else doing a live right now, and you'll just see him in the live chats here and there.
So Doug's saying that everybody be cool that I got my bodyguard here. Boy, it's gonna guard me.
See you. Everyone be cool. All right, here I agree with this. The 5th annual No Name National is going to be epic in many ways. I agree with that. I think it's going to be one of the best.
You know what I think is going to happen? I'll predict it. I'll predict it from my position. Okay, I think this year, Just Mopar Joe's going to go out first round bracket races.
Think so?
I do. I think there's enough people gunning for him. And there's enough heavy hitters that people that are practicing, they're going to take them out. I also think this is going to be the best burnout contest we've ever had, hands down.
I agree.
And I think Triple Crown is going to it's going to crest 30 cars this year.
I'm going to say it's going to be in the 20s this year.
It was 19 last year. So I'm giving it some 10%, is only like 2.
I think they're going to be in the 20s. I think the cars are going to be almost, they're going to be probably another half second faster.
I think I was going to say they're going to be leaner and meaner, right?
Yep.
Like the number you saw last year, like 17s, that's going to be like 7 O's. They're probably going to be a tenth faster.
Yeah, I think one person is going to there's going to be a couple people probably in the high sixes, but I think the pack's going to be in the 740s, 750s. I think everybody's going to figure it out this year, and it's going to be a much tighter group.
Ron Wart's down here at 736 says E15 rhymes with hydrazine. Just saying.
Right. That's a good one. You know what's funny is I was just telling Dallas we got here is that the green car, the Lizard King, I literally haven't. Did I already say this on here or no? As I was just talking to you about it. I hadn't started that car since Six Smokies. Just hadn't started them. And just today was the first time I started up since Six Smokies, pulled it out, and I'm going to drive it to work and back. And then if it makes it there, then it's going to make it all the way to Nashville and go see Mr. Dallas and on Friday. That's how I test those cars. Okay, drives back and forth to work. Good. Let's go drive it, 3.5 hours away.
Let's see. Dr. Ghost said, I guess I better make sure to bring some more beef jerky for the tech tent table if you have to work harder testing. Well, I don't know about harder. I think this year is probably going to be a little bit easier, but you're more than welcome to bring that jerky by because we already know my scales are not going to work for this. So we'll have a preset set of scales there to get this done. So we don't have to pull our hair out trying to make that work.
Mine are the scales that have the cables on them, and they have
that's what we need right there.
Yeah, and batteries. So I'll bring those up. Oh, Mr. Wilson saying that it's MCS10 is the coupon code for anything on the Deutschwerk site. So go and check that out. It's not. I said it earlier. It's not a Wednesday on Tech Talk Live. Go there and put that MCS10 coupon, and it's 10% everything on Deutschwerks. And they got good stuff there, man. Go check them out.
Oh, Doug's for saying here's something here that's pretty cool. There is a fuel additive, I think it's by Driven brand, and it protects the aluminum car body from the ethanol, but it treats the aluminum somehow, if I understand it right. So that would be pretty interesting if there has been improvements made in this. And you remember when they went to the E10 fuels in the early 2000s is when you started having all these problems. And it is 25 years later. So there would have to be other stuff on the market more than just transmission fluid or top lube or two-cycle oil. You would think somebody would have created something specifically for this problem.
Dakota's saying, I'm timeout saying 351 Michigan. I want to, modified. I want to build a 400 with a 4C Cleveland heads. And then right down here, indirect is saying, Dakota, I have a 400 complete, needs to be rebuilt. So there you go. Give him a call. Connect with him, and then you can get your 400 done.
Hey, you know what, Dakota? If you time that right, he could probably bring it down to No Name Nationals, and he could pick it up from there. Yeah, because he's in Wisconsin.
One-Eyed Cat, you says, do you have a couple of 8 3/4 housings? Do you have any 8 3/4 housings that are for like an A body? And if you don't, what do you sell like say a B body for? Because I would like to get one more housing. Because I would like to get one from you. You'll notice the 15% when your engine starts running like shit. Yeah, I noticed when it's really hot. When I put the 15% in there, when it got really hot under hood temperatures. Oh, remember Dallas? I told you about this. Remember, it's the first time my car ever vapor locked. Remember I told you that? Like
it'll boil the fuel earlier.
Yeah, it was with 15%. We had just driven. There was an accident, and so we were parked. Then we had to go to this diner. And I was pulling in and the car was hot. And it was hot outside. It was the first time my car ever like literally vapor locked. It just shut off and you could hear the fuel boiling in the carburetors. And it was on that 15% fuel. So as far as running though, I didn't notice any difference, but it was the only time I ever had the car vapor lock.
Let's see. Tom Brown saying, Dallas, do you happen to know if a nailhead manual trans bell housing will work with a flex plate for use on a run stand? Okay. Nailhead manual bell housing will work with a flex plate for use on a run stand, or is the tooth ring gear further back on a flywheel? I really honestly don't know the answer to that. I would assume that you can probably use that. I'm assuming that you probably could use it.
I think the offset, the flywheel crank flange is different to the bell housing stand. I think it's different on the nail head.
Well, so what I do know on the nail head is, just like any other Buick, the starter bolts to the block.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of what, I guess as long as you have the starter to match your flex plate,
You'll be fine.
you'll probably be fine. And I think more or less it would have clearance, because I'll bet you that the flex plate is almost the same number of teeth as the flywheel. Back then, that used to be a very common occurrence. It wasn't multiple, it wasn't too big of a size difference. But I don't know. That nail head, a manual nail head is rare as rocking horse shit, right? So
Right.
if you can find one of those, I bet it would probably work, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I'm going to jump down here. Ron's actually a really good question. Shane, I know that Holley makes Dominator, especially for methanol use. What is done differently in these cars besides the obvious stoichiometric changes? Really, the passages are bigger. So your main well is going to be almost 150 to 160 thousandths. That's the one that goes down where all your air bleeds go into, or your emulsion tubes go into, or not motion, but your emulsion air bleeds. And then also too, up on top, as far as your air bleeds, you're going to have different numbers up there now. Because the fuel is lighter, but you're running a lot more fuel, it's going to have more weight. So therefore, you're going to need a bigger, jet on there to help that signal. Sometimes though, when you, depending on the amount of jet, and as far as the power valve, you might actually have to have it smaller on some of them because the weight of the fuel is so much greater. But yes, it's literally the channels. I did this on my Dominator, on the Edelnator. I set that up so that way I could either switch it from gasoline by changing some of those, or I could run it on methanol or E85, because I had already set that carburetor up for that, because I was going to run the Cookie Monster on E85 at some point. But literally, that's all it is. It's just you're opening that up, and obviously the amount of fuel too. So your bowls are going to be bigger. Usually the accelerator pumps are bigger. Literally everything gets larger for that much more volume of fuel. 40% more fuel to 50% more fuel is not uncommon when you're running methanol.
Also, aren't they anodized differently?
Yes,
because I think I was to say it eats the aluminum if not. It's got some kind of funky anodization on it.
Yeah, usually the bowls are inside. Everything's anodized, and some of those actually have 2 needles and seats per bowl, just for that, because you're flowing so much fuel.
That's the downside to it, is the 30% more fuel requirement.
No, it's that's like E85 on methanol. It's almost 40 to 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of just how much, because you're using so much more of it. It's way up there.
Huh.
I'll throw a tape on it, Shane. I may offer it as a gift. Wife approved. Awesome. Well, thank you. That'd be awesome. I'd appreciate that.
Okay. It looks like they're just talking about the 335 and 385 series engines here. So
yeah, Michael Schmidt's asking, float level, does the level need to be set lower with E15? Answer should depend on the temp, related expansion, gas versus alcohol. Actually, I would raise it up, because the specific gravity is going to be lighter. So to get the same head pressure on it for as far as specific gravity and weight, I would raise it up. I typically put the fuel in the center of the sight for a reason. So that way, if I jet the car so that way it's in the middle of the sight. So if I go to the track and I'm running just a little fat, I can just go 2 flats and that'll put it to the bottom, and that'll lean the car out. If I'm in the middle and I need to say the air is really bitching, I can add 2 flats and it brings it up, and that'll give you a little bit more head pressure.
Plus the volume is going to be more. So you're going to need more fuel in there constantly flowing anyway.
Yeah. But the E15 is going to be so... It's minute. Minute. You're not going to notice that.
I really don't know. I don't know where it's. I know 37% is the number where it starts to take effect, where you get more ethanol
You get the effects of it. You actually get the positive gains of it.
But I'm kind of wondering where the volume thing starts to fit in. At E15,
It's
it
not
may
going to really be
be.
much.
I don't know from E10 to E15 if there's going to be a crest on that, or is there something that's going to be significantly noticeable?
I don't think so. The only thing is, I think the fuel's going to bowl because if you think about it, E85 you have to run 30% more. So if you take 30% at 85%, you take that, so half. So that would be 15% more. At let's just make it easy, an easy number, 80. That would be 40%, right? So it would be 15% more. So then take half of that again. So you're looking at 7% more or less for that. And if you're already at E10, you're talking about maybe 2 or 3% more. The only difference between that is just a different on the pedal.
I think you are going to see at this E15. There is going to be things that you're going to notice, though. There's going to be things that you identify that are specifically for this E15, and one of them will probably be like the engine temperature is actually generally lower by a few degrees. You probably notice that your oil is a little bit more milky than before, and that's because generally
your mileage is going to go down too. Mileage is going to go down.
Well, your mileage is go down, but what I was getting at is your oil will be more milky because the burnt, it doesn't burn all of the fuel and air mixture in the chamber. Some of it leaks down past the rings and collects in the motor oil, and that's generally what turns your oil dark, or starts thinning it out where it starts smelling like gas. But some
if it's hot enough, it's going to burn that out.
It should.
Yeah.
But ethanol is it pulls moisture out of the air, and it will collect in your oil, and it will milk your oil.
Michael Schmidt saying the methanol I think uses 2 or 3 or 4 times as much volume, something like this. Yes, it's like, but if you're in a carburetor, usually you can. It's like 50% more to like. I think when I jetted up the carburetor for the methanol, it was like 50% more fuel, but because of the signal on it, it's actually pulling a lot more fuel, and that's why you had to keep the needle and seat because of the specific gravity is so low on it. So yes, it could be doing that. It definitely could be.
Okay. Way down at 752, Michael Schmidt says E30, E35, E40. If this is the sweet spot for power output, how do you tune this? Okay, one, it's not the sweet spot for power output. It's just a point at which you actually start to see the ethanol attributes overtake the gasoline.
That's right.
Okay. The sweet spot is actually up at, what do they measure it? Like E70 is where there was no gain after like E70, right? I think is what it was.
Yeah.
But
and also too, I think it was E40. I think E40 they realized or is it E50? I got to watch that again, but I think it was really low. They were actually shocked at how low that there was really no more gains beyond that as far as at their power level, at their horsepower level and their power level. I think it was over E50. It didn't make any difference at all beyond that.
Right. And that was where it was like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze of having all that extra ethanol. It was better to have the gasoline, to be honest with you. But okay, and it says, how do you tune this? Different air fuel ratio. What do you look at? Yes. It does have its own specific air fuel ratio for E85, but when you're talking like E30, E35, E40, you're kind of on your own on that. I'm trying to figure that out. The other thing is where they were doing this testing was on Engine Masters, and they were using the EFI engine, and it had a ethanol sensor for what did they call it? Smart fuel or whatever it was. I can't remember what they called it. Shane, what did they call that? Where it was multi-fuel.
Flex fuel.
Flex fuel. They had a flex fuel sensor, and it would tell them exactly how much percentage of ethanol they had, and it would automatically calibrate the computer for that. So running a carbureted car, you're going to have a difficult time unless you get it dead every time, like E35, E40. And you can easily do that. You can mix it up. I would just go buy E85 and start adding gasoline. So that'd be the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, it works really good. We've actually done it at work, and it works really good because we saw that and and you just want to make sure it worked. Tom Brown's asking, Shane, can you go over the Driveshaft harmonics calculation, which is critical speed? Again, a friend has a 3-inch diameter, 61-inch long drive shaft for a 67 Wildcat, 29-inch tire, 3.9 gear. Will he have issues? Okay, so if you go to
A lot of RPM because it's a 390 gear.
So if you go to Precision Shaft Technology, so it's psds.com, they actually have a really nice little chart there. So 3-inch, at like say 083 mild steel, it doesn't go up to 61-inch. It only goes to 56-inch. So I can tell you right now on that chart, you're beyond it. So you're probably going to be in the critical speed area. If you go to Spicer, you can actually type in your parts. So I'm going to go with, do you know the U joints on that? I'm just going to go with 1350 U joints. 1350 U joints. Outside wall thickness. Let's go with 3-inch by 83.
Tell me to leave.
Distance between centers, 61 inches. Okay. So the Spicer is really awesome. So it's really low. So your critical speed is going to be at 3,000, 2992, and then you're going to have a max initial balance of only 2,900 RPM. It's not very much because that's too long. That's such a long drive shaft. See, I was having this problem with the Cookie Monster because I put a Power Glide into it. Mine was like 58 inches, and that's the reason I went to a carbon fiber drive shaft, because it gets rid of the critical speed at that point. The problem you're going to have is half critical speed. That's where you're going to start seeing the ones, and that's going to be almost in the 1,500 to 2,000 RPM range. That's where you're going to have a problem. I can tell you right now, he is definitely going to have issues at some point, and he's going to have a massive, massive vibration. It's going to start whipping. What I would do at that point is I'd make a 2-piece drive shaft. I would put a center support bearing in it. And I know that sucks, but then you can cut that down to 30, to like almost 30 inches each. And then now you can bring that critical speed back up to, say, 4,500, 5,000 RPM. Because, you figure if you're even turning, let's just say you're 6,000 RPM in 1-to-1 going down the track, that's 6,000 RPM of drive shaft speed. You're double the critical speed then at that point. Or even at 5,000 RPM, you're going to be almost 1.5 times over the critical speed. So you're going to have a massive issue and harmonic problem. I can tell you, yes, he'll have a problem with that. But just go to Spicer and type in critical speed RPM calculator. And then you can basically right there on the left-hand side, you can type in your wall thickness, your diameter, and then, mild steel or whatever it is, and go from there. Yeah.
There is an easy way to fix that, because that is a pretty long drive shaft. But see, that car would have been available with that combination from the factory, right?
What's that?
That drive shaft length,
61 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, it's a Buick Wildcat. It's the same as, like, it's on the same platform as like a Impala SS, right? And if it's a Wildcat, it's a 67, so it's got a turbo 400 transmission in it, and it's a long tail shaft turbo 400. And I believe that they went to the long tail shaft so they didn't have to have that super long drive shaft.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And the easy way to fix this is the 64 and before had 2-piece drive shaft. And I think in this case, it might be, if you were going to have a drive shaft that long, is to go get one out of like a square body Chevy truck, right?
Center support bearing.
Drive shaft with a center support bearing, and split that in half, and now your critical speed doubles. Yeah.
And actually it's even more than that, because now you have a center support, and it not only doubles, but it actually goes even higher than that, because it's a parabolic curve. It's not a 1-to-1 thing. Yeah.
Okay,
so
it's an exponential deal.
Yeah. So that's what I would do, but he's definitely going to have some sort of issues with the critical speed.
I don't think so. It came factory that way. As long as it still has the long tail shaft turbo 400 in it.
But
I don't know.
61 inch,
it's 3 inches diameter. A factory one would have only been like 2.25.
Yeah. So if I do the critical speed at 2.25, here 2.25, Calculate that. That brings the critical speed down to 2656 at that point. That's even with 1350 U joints. And I know
That's
that.
at 55 miles an hour.
So if you had like the smaller ones, like say some 1280s or something, that brings that even down further, down to like 1310s. Let's try those. No, it stays about the same. They all stay about the same.
So what is it at the 3-inch diameter?
3-inch diameter. Hold on.
Yeah, that'd have been like a 1370 or 1380 U joint, right?
If I go say a 13, if I go like a 1350 U joint was the most common one. Now, if I make the wall thickness a little bigger, so instead of 65, I go to 83 thousandths. That makes it 3593 is the critical speed, and the half on that one is right at about 2200 is what they're saying at that point.
3593 is about 70 miles an hour for that car.
And that sounds about right, but 61 inches, 61 inch center to center. So he's definitely going to have an issue 100%. And it's not like it will fold apart because there's not a lot of torque on it. The thing is when you're under max full, torque and it's really torquing, that's when it's going to vibrate and twist. What's going to happen is you're going to get a harmonic and you're going to get a vibration that you just can't control, and you're not going to know where it's at.
Well, there's really only two ways to really fix that. One, go to a larger diameter drive shaft, like a 4-inch, right? Aluminum 4-inch.
If he goes to a 4-inch diameter, and it's still like say 83 watts, so that way it's light. Yeah, that goes up to 48, 28. And then if he gets
that motor blow up before that kind of critical speed. No, 48, 28, because it'd be 1-to-1. So that's you in the quarter mile, you'd feel that.
Oh yeah, you'd feel it, but it won't blow up. See, because you're not going to be double over the critical speed and 4 times over twice over the half critical speed.
But,
so
yeah, I think the answer for that one is literally see if you can find a way to make it a 2-piece drive shaft using a Chevy square body truck drive shaft. Matter of fact, I think wasn't this the quad cab long bed dualies? Didn't they come with like 3.5-inch drive shafts that were aluminum?
Yes,
that might be the cheapest, easiest route to go right there.
Yeah, if you go aluminum instead of mild steel, that definitely helps out quite a bit. And now I could get close to my critical speed on that, but that's why I went to a carbon fiber drive shaft of mine, was just for that reason, because the carbon fiber brings that critical speed in mine, because mine was like 50 something inches, like I think 58 inches. It brings it to like 10,000 RPM because of the carbon fiber. It doesn't transmit the harmonics like steel does.
Well, Lori Conboy down here answers that question from earlier about the nail head, because see, I am not a nail head guy. I'm glad this person rogered up. Because the automatic flex plates won't be an issue with a manual bell housing. The same starter is used for auto and manual transmission. So that means the diameter is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Unless it's a pre-64 engine that used the Dynaflow.
That's what I was thinking about, yes.
Getting into the weird Dynaflow era, the early Buick days. But like I said, that manual bell housing for a nail head is rare, my friend, rare.
Yeah, because we have a nail head. It's just a block. And that's when we were talking about, I was trying to make these 4L60s bolt up to these BOPs. And then I was like, man, what the hell's this? And then they're like, oh, that's a nail head. And it was weird because the bell housing, like,
it's round like a Chrysler.
Huh?
It's round like a Chrysler.
Yeah, but it comes out. It's like not flush. It looked like it's hard to explain, but it was like, it was part of the block kind of stuck out a little bit.
Man, those are the ones I used to snipe off of like Marketplace or Craigslist. The case for like $25 because nobody even knew what they fit, right? And it was like, oh, I'll take it. And those are the ones you cut the bell housing. I'll put a JW Ultra bell on it. But okay, let's kind of catch up here.
Yeah, I'm trying to skip ahead, see if I can. Oh, he's saying that right here. The Wildcat. He said the Wildcat had a 2-piece from the factory. Told him not to do it. I guess now I can show him proof. Yes. I believe that it definitely would have to have a 2-piece because of how long it is. Always go back with the 2-piece, especially if it's that long, and that way it will take all that harmonic out of it. And then with the 2-piece, if you go to a 3-inch before and a 3-inch after, he will never have a problem with it. And it'll run so smooth, and it'll support it. It will just be completely supported.
Okay, so Lori's saying that the 67 Wildcat had a short tail shaft turbo 400, but had a 2-piece drive shaft with a carrier bearing, unless it's been modified to eliminate it. And I didn't know this because I thought after 64, when they got away from the X frame, they went to the one-piece drive shaft. But they do have a long wheelbase on them suckers. And it would make sense that they have a two-piece drive shaft. So what's happened here is they've converted from a two-piece to a one-piece.
Yep.
And now Tom's asking about the harmonics of it, right?
Yeah, well, that makes sense because when you start doing some of the math on 61 inches, man, woof, that's a low number. And you know, my Dodge truck has got a one-piece drive shaft in it because it's a standard, it's a short bed, right? And it's literally at the limit of what you can have as far as length and critical speed. And the truck is limited to 120 miles an hour for that exact reason, because the RPM goes up too much and you'll have a problem.
Well, Tom Brown saying the original Wildcat shaft also uses a double cardigan joint. How does that change things? Well,
It's like a constant velocity. Yeah, that makes a big
always
difference.
changing. It's actually always changing the angle at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that would actually eliminate the vibration.
It will. Tony says that's why my truck's drive shaft is 5-inch aluminum. That's another way to do it. Just keep bigger. There comes a point where it becomes a diminishing returns, but 5-inch diameter and aluminum, that will definitely work.
Let's see. Danny Boyd saying, what if you use a stainless steel to make a drive shaft? I do know that there is one, stainless steel is too brittle for a drive shaft. I think, huh?
I would say it's too hard. Yeah.
Yeah, they generally would crack. But I do know that when I got the drive shaft for my T-Bird made from Strange, they had just came out with their drive shaft service. So I thought it was pretty neat to order a drive shaft from them, like one of the first few people to order one, right? And they had an option for chromoly drive shaft, and I opted for that. And then they told me, like, when I got it, like, all right, no neutral drops, no trans brake. Like, whoa, hold on, what's going on? They're like, oh, it's easier to crack than regular mild steel because it's more flexible. And I did not understand that. But so they talked me out of getting the chromoly drive shaft and just go to a mild steel, larger diameter one.
In the comments, if you guys saw that guy who was I just actually deleted and banned him. It was SKI 764. So I apologize.
John probably kicked him out too, right?
Huh?
John probably kicked him out over on YouTube.
Yeah, so I just kicked him out. So he was putting up some very inappropriate things, and I apologize, but I just blocked him.
Remember, on StreamYard, we get it all, and John probably blocked it on YouTube when it came up, or Colleen did.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
We don't see that.
Yeah, we don't see that. I just because I'm a StreamYard. So, but thank you guys. I appreciate it, and I just blocked him on this one here too.
Tom Brown says, Dallas, that Roy guy that I was out at his place has one of those bell housings for sale. May have to pick it up. Oh. I would definitely pick it up because, okay, so I know what those came out of. There's only two things that could have come out of. A Grand Sport with a nail head, a 401 nail head. So early Skylark Grand Sport GS that would have had a 401 nail head. Or it could have came out of a Wildcat 425 motor, like 465 option Wildcat with the 2 4-barrels. Those were available. I don't remember seeing any 401s with a 4-speed, but I would not believe that, those weren't out there. I mean, it was Buick, and when you order a Wildcat, you could literally order anything that Buick offered on a Wildcat. So you could get a 401 2-barrel, or I don't think a 364 was made after 64. So
Tony's Hot Rod Garage is saying that his drive shaft is 69 and an 1/8 inch long, and it's 5-inch in diameter aluminum, 1350 U joints. So I just did some of the math here real quick, and it's saying that because the thickness is the only thing that I can't, because it only has like say 5039 or 5118. So let's do the 5039. Aluminum, and it's saying that your critical speed is right at about just under $5,000 for your critical speed for that. So you should be, that should be okay. I'm going to check one more real quick because they have a critical speed and a few different places. Critical speed. Oh, they're sending you to Spicer also. Yeah. So, anyways, so yeah, just be wary of your critical speed because because a lot of things will break at that point. Yeah, I did the math. Once again, you could just go to spicerparts.com and they have a critical speed RPM calculator there, and you can pretty much do some of the math there. It's really simple. Pop it in. He kept popping up here on YouTube. Okay, well, yeah. So once again, I apologize. He's long gone. Oh, he learned something new today. Pulling a 68 RFE out of a 13 Ram Cummins is a pain in the ass. Yes. Hey, are you gonna do like a manual swap in that thing or what? Get rid of that 68 RFE? Because that'd be awesome. Oh man, Lori knows a lot about these.
Yeah, Lori raced has that racing Wildcat with or I don't know if it's a Wildcat. But is nailhead aficionado.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know anything about him. I literally have kind of like my old man was into V8 Buicks, which was essentially the small block and big block that everyone's familiar with. Mm-hmm. But nailheads, I never really dealt with any of them. I had a 322 dual quad intake manifold at one time, and I sold that on Marketplace or Craigslist or something. eBay years ago.
Right. I remember buying parts off of eBay when it was safe. Remember that? Like it was actually like
in the early 2000s, it was like the thing to do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. It was the marketplace of today. How everything's transitioned over to Marketplace from Craigslist. It went like eBay and then Craigslist. And the only reason it even went to Craigslist is because eBay got greedy. eBay got greedy for listing, and they would charge you money, and selling, they would charge you money. And then PayPal got introduced, and then PayPal started taking a cut to where you end up getting hacked so much with all these overhead fees that you would never make any money off of the stuff that you sold on eBay.
Yeah. Well, this is the reason why we do it. Here we go. Just wanted to thank you guys. In the middle of the Kelsey Hayes disc brake swap on my wife's 64 Dart Wagon, the question you answered earlier helped me as well. Well, we appreciate that because that's why we do this. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Racer Ray saying sailing on Evil Bay is a pain now. It is. And, unfortunately, that when I was doing the AHRA, that's where I was selling all the T-shirts was on eBay. And I literally would make nothing off of the T-shirts after I sold them because it would cut me so much. And it was like you had to get your shipping through them, or you couldn't afford to ship it. It was just so bad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, eBay I figured out is if you want a world market, eBay is the place. But Marketplace is the place if you want, let's say, 100-yard or 100-mile radius from where you're at.
Yeah, 100 mile to 200 mile. Yeah. While we got some people in here, wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to be going up to the Springfield, Tennessee area on Friday. So if there's anyone along the way, and then I'm going to be cruising over to go see Mr. Dallas on Friday and hang out with him and his kid.
If you're going over that way, that's Buff and Kim is on that way.
Oh, Buff and Kim are over there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll contact them, see if I could do a drive-by with them. I'll have the kids with me. We're gonna try to make a day out of it. We're gonna leave early. We'll go by there, and then we're not gonna stay long up in that north end. We're gonna try to get through Nashville before lunch, so that way we can get down to you and then be on this side. Because no matter which way I go home, then we could literally go south to Corinth and then take that way. We can take all back roads. We can have some fun with it.
Michael Schmidt says, what does Plymouth on plywood mean? Asking the person that's Plymouth on plywood, but I'm assuming that's early Plymouth like early cars. When they say put it to the wood, they were wood floors.
Right. Right. Oh, I think this is funny. Tony, I like Dodge trucks, but if the dipstick's on the passenger side, I get worried. That's funny.
Buffdale Campo says, "Come on by, bring us some bugs."
Oh, yeah, you saw the video, huh? You know how many people commented and sent me text about how they love that video? And some people watched that 2 or 3 times. They just watched the whole thing. But that's what happens around this house. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to film something because there's always money coming out. There's always a dare, and somebody's always eating something funny. So we're going to start recording that stuff. So I hope you like it, because that was true emotion, and that was like raw, uncut. Like, it was happening live. None of that was planned out. That literally was happening right then.
Nodak Speed Shop says, "More damn fees than Barrett Jackson," and that's 100% the truth. Everything you sell on eBay is, I want to say, I sat down and did the math when I was doing the T-shirts for the AHRA, and I want to say it was 11%, right, of whatever I sold it for, the selling price. So you had to buy them and then mark them up a shitload just so you would pretty much break even. And I did not like that business plan through eBay. eBay turns everything into a, I think the easiest way to do it is you have a freaking humongous volume of them.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to do it.
Racers saying, Shane, you're mean to your kids. Look, Cash is the one who started it with Gage, gave it $20, and they were going to eat it. Now I just put in $10 just to spice it up a little bit, because I wanted to see it myself. But that's them. That's how they bet each other and make each other eat crickets and grasshoppers and whatever the hell that bug was. That mother bug. That thing was literally the size of my hand. It was just an absolute monster.
Lori Comboy says, "My knowledge is 1960 and newer. I'm assuming Buick nailhead stuff. And I would love to pick your brain, because I'm absolutely in love with 61 to 64 Buick full-size B-body. I really want to get one. I do want to put a 455 on it, though, just to let you know that.
Yeah.
Or 430.
It goes, basically, he works on sheets of plywood in the front of a garage, keeps my jack from getting quagmired in the gravel. Okay, well, I did that in California. I had gravel, and I had pieces of wood I would put down for the jack. So yeah, I did the same thing.
Oh my gosh. Plymouth on Plywood says, "My garage is tiny. House was built in the early 1940s. So that's what it is. It's got an early 1940s garage that's meant for like a Model A.
Yeah, that's it, to pull in.
Yeah.
Oh, the race says, "Plymouth on Plywood. My shop floor is plywood." That's awesome, dude. I've been there, man. I literally have done that all the way until 2020. I literally worked. Now, my race car was in a garage, but everything else was either in the driveway or on gravel or on plywood.
You used to use that. You had that little, cove on the street that you used to use all the time too.
That was that canopy, and that was the gravel that I would put the car under, because I would leave for work so early, the fog would fog up the windows. So if it was underneath that coving, my windows wouldn't be fogged up. So I literally would park it there. And then because I would leave at 6 in the morning to go down to Crower. So it was the only time I could drive without it fogging up. But that was because the car was, 69 Dart. So,
well, this house here, this was the first time I ever had a garage, right? Like I always either lived in Navy housing or rented houses closest to the base. And most of the time they didn't come with a garage.
You had one, but it was a small garage. Then when I first came over there, when you're building that small block for the white truck,
that was the Navy housing house.
Yeah.
And it had that 1-car garage.
It was tiny. I remember that. It was tiny.
Yeah. I was building the engine for that truck, and it was in the driveway. Remember, I don't know if you remember, the angle of the driveway is like 45 degrees, right? Like,
I do remember that.
And I tried to put the motor in, and it was like literally tipping over as I'm setting it down, and I'm having to hang on the back and like, I don't know what you like, trapeze artist it into place.
Yeah.
You didn't even lower it. You just waited for it to start tipping, get to the tipping point, and you just hang on for dear life and use your feet to slow it down, like stick them out further so I had more leverage.
I remember going there, and it was the driveway wasn't very long either. Literally, it was the length of the truck, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was.
It was literally the length of the truck. It was like this, and then we went into the garage, and then there wasn't much room in there. It was literally an engine. And I was like, man, there's really not much room, because I was like, how did he get this thing out? And then I remember looking up, and there's not enough room to pull it out there, so you had to have pulled it out in the driveway.
I pulled it out in the street and I put it in the bed of the truck, and then I flipped the truck around and pushed the truck up in the driveway.
Ah, is that how you did it? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was the worst setup for any gearhead ever, but it was like the driveway was like a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
And it was like they poured it out of the cement truck and it just ran downhill. And that's how they set the driveway. Right. It was so bad.
Oh,
yeah.
Heavens Mopars is here. How you doing?
Scott. Race says one thing. I have a mid-rise lift in here, a couple of 4x4 foot 1/4 steel plate under each end, and it's solid enough. Oh, so that's his plywood floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just had like 3/4 inch plywood, and I had some 2x4s underneath it, and I could jack the car up on that. It worked just fine. Dallas Ray has about 7 of those.
You really want me to come up there to North Dakota to look at these Buick B bodies? I'm really in love with 61 to 64. I do appreciate a 65 to 67, but they're just not my style. I mean, they look too disproportionately long. I really, really love the taillights and rear bumper on a 63 LeSabre. But I do also like the taillights that look like rocket vents on like a 61. Oh, they look so good.
Yeah.
I really think, when I was a kid, we had this guy in my town. He used to paint cars. He was like the local legend hot rodder guy, right? His name was Gary Holzclaw, and he painted cars. And it was cool because, Gary was of the age where he would like smoke a pipe and wear suspenders and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
And he was like, he would always tell me, I would bring something up there to him, and I would have him do some like bodywork stuff, like hammer some dents out or weld some patch panels or stuff like that. And he would say, Dallas, I don't work on that stuff. And I'm like, why is that, Gary? He said, because real American cars stopped in 1964. That's what he said. And he's like, I won't work any of that shit after that. Like, they're all garbage.
All garbage. Mitri Mopar is asking, Shane, I picked up a set of Hooker W2 1 3/4 inch truck headers. Are there any disadvantage to running the 1 3 tubes on a smaller engine like my 318? No, it's going to be just fine. RPM is what it's going to want. It'll be just fine. If you're going to run this in a lower RPM, you might notice some, but it's going to be so negligible. And you're not at this level of performance. You're not going to be wave tuning to like what most people are going to be like for like on the higher end builds. You're not going to notice any difference of them. If that's what you got, run it. It'll be just fine. You'll never notice any difference on that. Heavens Mopar saying he didn't have a garage till he was 44 and he'll be 54 tomorrow. Best 10 years of my life having a garage. Bought back 6 months of wintertime each year that I can work on cars. I got to tell you, when I moved here, most of my stuff was done outside in California. I had just like a 2-car garage, but by the time I put the car in it, my shop, there was really no more room. So all the slant daily cars, all the slant 6 cars were outside. When I moved here, I was like, if I'm moving, I definitely want something that's indoors. It's big enough for at least 3 to 4 cars, and it's going to have a lift and some sort of climate control. And that was up until about 5.5 years ago. That's the only time I've actually had a garage that was big enough, climate controlled. And so, yes, I did. I've had my dues of working on gravel and rock, and that's where I learned everything. So I've been there.
Tom Brown says, if I can figure out how to get a title for that 67 LeSabre, I'm getting it. It's a 400 fastback model with factory buckets and center console. So that 400 is actually indicative of the transmission, not the engine size. So you could have a 340 in that thing, but also it'd be a LeSabre 400. But that's the one that I always liked, was the fastback, this 65 through 67 has a fastback version, I guess. I don't, maybe even 68, I guess. They look good.
You could easily get a title. In fact, this is how I'm doing a lot of the cars that I had that had no title. Is that in Mississippi, they would issue cars in the early 60s. They would never even issue a title back then.
It's Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia does the
Yes,
same.
yeah, exactly. But I'm so close to Mississippi that it works out. So like if it's a car that's been out for a while, I'll just have I have a friend who's got kind of like he buys and sells a lot of cars. He's kind of got a plethora of cars around. He's got a couple car areas where he has like, probably 150 cars or so that are just randomly put out. He writes me a bill of sale. I take it down, and that's from Mississippi. I bought it for X amount. I go to Tennessee, and I literally hand that to them. They issue a title, no questions asked, no nothing. Car was just never had a title because it was never issued one. And that's literally how it works. And it's a simple thing.
Tom, you can just get in touch with me, and Shane and I will get you, hopefully get you somewhat sorted out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It'll just be a little bit of jostling around. In a couple of months, we'll have you a title.
It'd be simple, dude. Simple. I'm actually going to have Plan Z registered on the street, titled, and good to go. So, not a problem. Colleen goes, I'm 56 and only have a carport with a concrete floor. You know what? I had a carport with gravel until I was 5 years ago. So 45 years old. So, I got to tell you, I was out there freezing with it when it was cold in California. Believe it or not, it gets cold in California.
And Tom's saying, yeah, he's got a 400 big block Buick from a 67 GS to put at home to put in it. Man, I got a couple 430s.
You got two? Oh, you got a 430. Oh, that's right. You did, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
A plethora. That is correct. Plethora. 65 through 68. Well, I'm not sure what he's saying there.
That's probably that body style was 65, 68, most likely.
Okay.
It follows the same as the Impalas. I know that 64 they ended the X frame, and then 65 and up was a perimeter frame. But there was GM in those years was kind of odd because it wasn't until 64 that they started intermingling stuff where you could get like, okay, I'll give you for instance. You could get the same size drum brakes on them all, but a Buick had aluminum front drums and the cast iron rear ones, right? No other cars except for, I think, wagons had aluminum drum. All right. The other thing is 64 or 63, the Buicks were front steer, same chassis as a Chevrolet. The Buicks were rear steer and the Chevrolets were all front steer. So the entire steering gear was completely different. And it's like, why? Right? I mean, it's the same platform of car. You literally are running the same platform with multiple different types of steering. And it was because the rear steer allows the car to drive nicer, right? The handling is firmer. You got less bump steer. The front steer eventually ended up being the way that everybody went.
Yeah.
But it's just weird stuff like that.
He was on Tom Brown's Losses Dallas. He had a 430 also and a couple of 455s.
Oh man, see that 430 would be perfect for that Wildcat because that's what it came with. That's what I think would be neat. That 400's like I have that 400 in my Suburban, and I dog on it and say bad things about it all the time, but it's not really that bad. But man, it is not a 430, and it is not a 455. The 400 turns the transmission and drives the truck.
Yeah.
It's not a rocket ship.
Heavens Mopar is asking the question here that's going to be really hard to answer, but question, I have a purple cam, the 3 short block that I acquired. Not sure of the size of it, but it is the 4-5 lift duration with a TRW pistons. What lifters and push rod length do I use? Now, 4-500 lift, I'm not really sure what that means. Is it saying between those, or is he talking about 450 lift, do you think? That's a hard one to...
I don't really. See, this is what I hate about that stupid purple camshaft.
Yes.
Because it's like there's 727 variants based on when you bought it and who you bought it from.
And who you bought it from. Here's what I would do is I would literally pull the cam out. On the back of the cam is going to be a part number. It'll be their Mopar. It'll be a comp cam. It'll be whoever made that purple camshaft at that point. With that number, then we can figure out what it is. Some of them came solid. Some of them came hydraulic. More than likely, it's going to be hydraulic. As far as length of push rods, there's really no way to tell because it depends on how much the deck has been cut or the head's been cut on that. But I do spolito@edelbrock.com. Send me a picture of that back of that camshaft, and I could probably get you somewhere that will be close, and I can give you somewhere close on the push rods that you're going to need for, like, say,
there is one telltale thing that you can look at about push rod length. Try to find some stampings on the block, preferably the face, like. Right? If there's any stamping like numbers or anything like that, if the numbers are still there and nice and clear, the block hasn't been decked, right? Generally, if it's like there's no stampings on when there's supposed to be stampings there, it's usually 10 thousandths or more.
Yeah, or more. So it's really hard to tell on that, but I can get you something. I'll get you close. Also, too, with those cams, with a higher lift, they're going to have a smaller base circle, so they're going to have a little longer push rod right off the bat with those. Oh, guess who showed up here? Mr. Patrick.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, Patrick's here. How's it going, Patrick? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, it is good to see you. You know, and Patrick makes me think of something.
What's that?
I remember like 2 years ago, Patrick was beating me up, wanted me to do a all hands thrash at my place on my Buick for
Let's do it.
My birthday. Do you think my birthday's tomorrow? Do you think next weekend I should do that? Not this coming weekend, but the following weekend?
I have a 3-day weekend this weekend. You should have done it this weekend.
Well, it's too late now.
You know what? Do it the following weekend. Have everyone show up. Yeah. I'll come back up.
Yeah, because Wyatt won't be here. Well, no, he'll be here this weekend. He won't be here the following weekend.
So if you're going to do that, what I'll do then is I'll just go to Springfield, Tennessee, and back home, and then I'll come to you the following weekend. How about that?
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to have a thrash session on my just take a weekend and work on my Buick?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll come up there Friday after. So I'll leave Friday right after work. I'll just drive over there and I'll bring cash. And then we'll
I won't have Wyatt here.
Doesn't matter. Cash can get dirty.
Okay.
He'll bring his bike or whatever, and he can, freight around and whatever.
Huh.
Yeah. So tell everyone, do you mind people showing up? Whoever wants to come over?
I don't mind people showing up. If you want to come on over, let's see. Where's my phone? Let me get my phone. I'll give you some exact dates.
Yeah. All right. So check this out. We got to get over to his house and get his thrash because he just got a transmission. He wasn't sure if he was going to make this car to No Name Nationals to run in the Triple Crown. So he got a smoking deal, a nice even trade for a transmission, for an engine. And so now he's in. So now he needs all hands on deck to get him going. I don't
necessarily need all hands on deck because there's nothing. I have to continue fabrication work, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I will have all the supplies and welding gear and all that stuff so we can. I mean, if I had all hands on deck, dude, I could have roll cage in and
exactly
all that
Dylan
stuff.
Levi.
Oh,
Dylan Levi needs to come down too. I bet you he could do a cage in a weekend. We could do some of the.
So
everyone's there.
The 4th, 5th, right? So the 11th, 12th.
There you go.
We'll have a 50th all hands on deck blowout. Well, I don't know about a blowout because I don't need strippers and hookers and coke in my driveway. But a regular just birthday amongst friends grill out deal.
You got a grill, right?
I do.
Yeah, so we'll get some brats, some.
Well, we just need somebody that's willing to operate the grill while everybody else is willing to thrash. And
yeah,
if you got various skills in body work, I'm definitely going to need that. And we could almost get the car in primer, I think. But I need to get the headers. I need to finish fabricating on the headers so I can get the engine out of the car. And then if Fab Race Mod Repeat needs to finish up my 9.3 so I can get it under the car, and I also need to fabricate upper and lower control arms for that. So maybe I'll just have the old factory stuff in there so we can get the rear end in place and move the car around. That would be the best.
Yeah. Here's something I never even thought of, but as I was reading this, Danny Boyd saying, in my experience, front steer allows you to drive forward with a broken tie rod, and rear steer will only allow you to drive in reverse with a broken tie rod. That makes sense. Lori's saying that our new shop was hiding in Montana a black 1971 LeSabre 4-door sedan 3 on the tree, Dearborn top loader with a.
So that's something you probably don't know about. That was a GM thing.
Yes, that was actually a Ford transmission, but they call it a Dearborn. So
it's
that
a
way
Dearborn 3-speed, so it didn't throw people off. Oh, it's a Ford.
Yeah,
right. But it's a top loader 3-speed, which I thought was so cool.
Yeah,
in a GM application, because think about it. If you were going drag racing and you had to run a manual transmission, that Dearborn 3-speed is a freaking cool ticket because, one, it's super strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't have you can't have that super low first gear because it's got a huge gear spread, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it has to have like a 248 or 250 first gear, something not super deep. That means it gets even stronger. The only downside is you're going to lug the motor coming out of the hole if you're drag racing it. But rear gear fixes that. And slipping the clutch fixes that.
Willie King said he would guess between 400 and 500 lifts. He has 2 purple shafts that have no numbers. Okay.
I've heard that too, where they don't all have numbers on them and they're not all stamped.
Yeah. So, but if you actually measure the base circle and then the crown, so measure base circle and this, that will tell you lobe lift, multiply that by 1.5. And the purple shafts came in 450. I think it's a 484 and a 509. Between those 3 numbers and lift, you can usually tell which cam it is because it'll have a duration according to that. Measure the intake and the exhaust. Now, if it's a comp one or like whoever made it, they'll usually have a split duration on those. So you're going to get 2 different numbers on the intake and the exhaust. And some of those guys would actually put, like, say, the 450 profile on the intake and the 484 on the exhaust. And when they did the 484 on the intake, they would do the 509. When they do the 509, they just run a bigger duration on the exhaust for the split durations on those. And they would tighten up the LSA a little bit to make that purple shaft run a little better. But between that, you can usually figure out what it is, even if there's no numbers on them, but you can usually get it from that.
Okay. So Tony's Hot Rod Garage says Dylan can build a cage in 2 days. Ask me how I know. Yeah. And what's cool is I already got the cage from Competition Engineering. I don't know. Somebody like that makes cages, and it's for a 63 Tempest. So it should be really close. And we just need to throw it in. The other thing is, before I did that, I needed to put in the panel, that firewall panel that goes between the rear seat. Mm-hmm. Dude, so get this. I came with this genius plan, right? I take all my metal scrap over to the local scrapyard. I'm like, hey, I don't want nothing from a scrap, but I do want a hood off of something that's got a fairly flat hood, so I can just cut a big section out of it to make my firewall for the rear. And they're like, sweet. So they dig around, they find a hood just laying on the, off to the side that's not all beat up. And I'm like, yay, this is so simple. I'm just trading 1 for 1 and I'm not spending any money out of my pocket. I get home and it's like an 89 and up Chevy truck hood. So let me tell you the downside. The downside was that was the first body style that they used panel bond that I could determine. So the inner frame is panel bonded to the outer. And I cut my big section out, like I used my cardboard template, cut my big section out, and the center of the hood wouldn't come out. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I look, and it's all panel bonded in. Now I'm wondering, will panel bond burn off of there? I don't know how to get it off without absolutely destroying the other side of the hood. I think I'm just going to cut the framing out for now to get it out, but there's got to be some way to separate it. How do you get the panel bond to separate from the other panels?
Heat?
That's all I can think of is the torch.
Yeah, torch. Vintage Adventure Drives reminds me of something, and he's right. There is another one, the 474 purple shaft. That is correct. There was also another one, the 474. I forgot about that one. So yes, thank you for that. I couldn't remember them all in my head, but yeah, there was also that one too. But yeah, you don't need to put them. There was another guy down here was saying that he puts them in between V blocks and kind of does that. You don't really need to do all that stuff. You really could just measure this way and this way. Take the difference. So the bigger one, take the difference here. That tells you load lift, multiply by 1.5, and just kind of go from there. You can usually get it from that.
Tom Brown.
King.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was to say Tom Brown says the Dearborn 3-speed has a 242 first, second gear is 161, and third is 1-to-1. Obviously,
that's pretty good.
That's actually not a bad gear spread. It is just very high in first gear. So you're going to want, if you're going to want to race that, you're going to want like 456 and up gears.
Yeah.
Right. But I would, man, with that first gear like that, I would say like 488 or 513 might be ideal.
Yeah. Willie King said he was the one that put it between V blocks, measured load lift, multiply 1.5, checked all the charts. One of mine was the original Hemi street grind that was supposed to be pretty good. I remember having one that was like a Hemi grind on a 440. The best cam, factory style cam that I ever ran was the 6-pack cam. That was actually in my 440 truck, and I drove that thing cross country from Georgia back to California, towing everything, and I drove that thing forever. And it was like the perfect balance between drivability, 2000 stall. I had 2200 stall in it, and it got decent mileage. And that was like my favorite because I could just beat the hell out of it. It just always would run. It was great.
So the consensus is this, but Patrick Gavitt saying that the most of the old parts and Russ is saying that MAP gas will take it right out. Panel bond cannot take about 375 to 400. Yeah. So that because it's an epoxy, that's where I was wondering, because I can get my torch. I just have a regular acetylene torch, and I could heat that up. But would it warp the panel I'm trying to take off? I guess if I don't get it super blisteringly hot, and bang it in cold water or nothing.
Yeah, no, I remember this because I had this on the 68 Dart. I just used a torch, and it literally separated. It pulled apart like glue, and then it was good.
Huh.
And I just didn't heat it up like I turned it red. I just kept, running it back and forth. Now, I actually had true MAP gas because the yellow containers is not MAP gas anymore. It's something different. It doesn't get nearly as hot as it used to, but I had true MAP gas, and I was getting that thing hot fast. And within about 2 or 3 minutes, I was able to pull it apart.
Well, that's all I need to do is MAP gas that thing off. Or not MAP gas. I don't even have a MAP gas torch. I'll just go use my acetylene.
Yeah.
It'll get way hotter than 375. So it'll be like 1,375 coming off.
I like Patrick's here. His favorite purple shaft was the 557 solid fly tappet. I had one of those things, but man, you need like a 3,500 stall. I actually put one in my 440, and I ended up taking it back out just because I couldn't really drive it around anywhere, as far as on the street. And that's when I realized the bigger cam's not always the best, but for racing, that is the cam to have. I would agree with you.
Well, it seems like, you know what? And I guess the Mopar purple shafts, I mean, everybody knows there's a ton of different ones, and none of them were the same lift and duration for any kind of combination. But those were like the Ford letter cams of its day. Like everybody, once you had one of those, you were like literally a staunch purple shaft guy, right? I love my purple shaft. And I was the same way with the Ford letter cams, the E-cam. Oh my God, I love the E-cam. If I could put the E-cam, I made 2 E-cams, one of them for a small block Ford. It sounds weird because they already came, but I had a comp cam grinding one that was a billet core. And then I did an E-cam for a small block Chevrolet.
And Wheelie King's actually right on this. The original Street Hemi grind was the only split pattern purple shaft when they were made by Mopar. Remember that? That was replaced.
Who made them after that?
Comp Cams made them for Mopar for a while.
Did they really?
Yeah, exactly. Then Crowler made some for Mopar for a while for when they would
How'd
make
they
them.
get the purple on them? That's what I want to know.
It was just it's spray paint.
Oh, it's just spray paint?
Yeah, it was just spray paint. He would spray paint it before you cut it, so that way the purple would stay in there. Sometimes they would be like, some of them are. Some people say they were powder coated, but they're literally just when it's cast iron before you put any oil on them, they were
Yeah.
just spray painted, and
Yeah,
then they
you
would
cut it down.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. Mean Street Mopar is asking Professor P, do you think the 247, 251, and 50, wow, on a 108 LSA circle track grind would be good choice for a W2 318? That's a lot of camshaft, and that's like 68 to 7200 RPM for that thing, and that's going to be way up there. That might be a little too much. It depends on what you're going to do with it. If this is only racing and this car is going to have a stick shift where you're dumping the clutch at say 47, 5,000 RPM, that's going to be the perfect for that. If you've got a 5,000 stall, perfect. If it's something you're going to want to drive on the street, I would cut that by about 15 numbers on the intake and exhaust. If it's something you're going to drive on the street, because you're going to be much happier with it. And then that way you'd still need to put like maybe a 2,500 to 3,000 stall in it to drive it around. But I can tell you right now,
that's going to be completely undrivable.
Yes, undrivable.
The engine's too small for that kind of camshaft. You need something like a 408 for that to work in for small block.
Yeah,
right?
408 on that would be a hot street cam. In fact, I can't tell you the cam numbers, but something as close to that in a 408 that's running that I just designed for a guy that's going to be running in the he does like Dragon drives, and that's in a 408 cubic inch engine, and he's still shifting this thing at about 6,800 RPM. So that's a lot.
Yeah, with that small cubic inch, you're going to need like 13-to-1 compression just to get the thing to run somewhat reasonable at idle. Right? It's going to lose so much compression at idle.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, as we were sitting here talking, Crane. The no number was Crane, then Crowler, and Comp Ones had the corresponding manufacturer number. So yes, but I do remember. I forgot about the Crane ones, but Crane did make them for a while, and then Crowler and then Comp made them for them. So, and he says that it's a 4-speed. I plan on beating on it. I'm telling you right now, you're really going to have to beat on. Okay,
that thing's going to have to idle at 1,500 RPM or more.
Yeah, to give you perspective, my 422, in the Cookie Monster, that's 275, but it's a 422 cubic inch engine. It's 100 more cubic inches, and you're only 30 degrees away from that. You're going to be in those type of numbers. It's going to be idling at 1,500 RPM. You're going to need, probably in the neighborhood of a 12-to-1 compression to get that thing to work. It's going to be hard with 318 to get that kind of compression. You're going to be more in the like 11.5-to-1. I would put that on a 104 ICL, try to advance it as much as possible to get some sort of RPM, least amount of RPM out of it to make power. But yeah, you can beat on it, but that thing's going to run to the scream to the moon.
It's just the wrong combo. I'm telling you, you're going to have something that's so undrivable. It would be it. Look, okay, I'll tell you something. Shane remembers in like 2013, I built a truck, Ford truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I made a quench motor when quench motors were like the thing everybody wanted to do, right?
And before you tell this, there's something popped up here just to prove the fact that we were just talking about, and then you can go into this. Tony's Hot Rod Garage says that his 451 is barely streetable with 242, 248, and that is 130 cubic inches more. So that just gives you an idea of what we're talking about. Sorry, Dallas, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. What I was going to get at, I mean, this isn't exactly the same thing, but the reality of it is it all plays out. You'll see. I built a motor. It was a quench motor. It was 10 3/4 to 1 or 11 3/4 to 1 compression, whatever it was. It was high like that. It was a small block Ford. It was 393 cubic inches, and it was like 11-to-1 compression. Okay. And it was a quench motor. It was meant to run on 93 octane gas, and it had less than 40 thousandths of quench between the top of the piston and the chamber of the cylinder. And when I did this, man, it ran fantastic on 93 octane gas. But when I couldn't get 93 octane gas, you couldn't even drive it. It was absolutely undrivable.
Yeah.
Because it was spark knocked so bad and detonates so bad. And I had expensive head gaskets in it. And I knew what was going to happen was I was going to end up having rod bearings fall out, or something stupid, because I had forged pistons in it and good rods. So it was going to beat the bearings clean out of the motor. And my buddy at the time, Chris, he looked at me and said, "See, this is why a finely tuned low compression motor, it will always be better than a high compression engine that's got a small window of operation." Right?
Perfect. Yep.
That's what you're at right there when you're talking that 318. That 318 will have a power band about that wide, and it will absolutely just murder your wallet when it's up there doing it. Because I'm not talking gas or anything like that. I'm talking this thing is going to need valve spring. It's going to need rocker arms. It's going to need push rods. It's going to need valve train that is unobtainium dollar-wise to keep it from eating itself.
The springs are probably going to have to change every year. But if this is what he wants, if he's looking for a high RPM deal, because that's what he's saying here, is that's what he wants. He wants this thing to RPM, and he does understand, though. If that's what you're looking for, just beware that you're probably going to replace the valve springs every year, and just do it for safety, because that thing, you're going to be cycling valve springs. And I have to replace the valve springs in the Cookie Monster every year. That's just part of the deal.
That's what I'm supposed to do to my T-Bird, but yeah. I don't.
Vintage Adventure Drives, Mr. Tanner saying he's planning on building a combination for a 360 that's free revving. He would like the high rev and only has a comp 282 Magnum Solid, 232 with a 496 lift at 110. I believe that's the specs. And
that's a good cam combo for that cubic inch.
It's good, but if you're buying a cam, or if you're getting a cam, let me custom make you a cam, because I have a lot of knowledge about 360s, and I have a recipe engine, and I can get you a camshaft that will literally run rings around that, because you got to have a little bit more duration on the exhaust if you're going to drive it on the street, and it will absolutely run awesome.
Plus, these off-the-shelf grinds like this, they're made. I hate to say this, they're made in the 70s or the 80s, and they have no new technology in that camshaft at all.
Exactly. And they're usually Chevrolet profiles, because they're usually for an 842 lifter, which means it's an 812 foot. With the 904 lifter, you can run like, say, an 875 foot and still be totally fine on the street. So you can get a maximum amount of area under the curve. And especially nowadays with the low shock ramps, you can get away with spring pressures that are much lower, and it saves the valve train, and it just runs better because it takes all the harmonics out of the valve train. So if Tanner, if you don't mind, look, I think you have my phone
right here. I would love to have you custom make me a cam. I already have that cam on the shelf, but I'm not married to it.
Oh, perfect. Well, honestly, if you want, you can send me that camshaft, and I can regrind it to whatever you want. Just send it to me, and we'll take care of it.
Well, not whatever. You are going to be limited by the footprint of the camshaft that it has now.
Yeah. But it's what I mean by that is I'll be able to put 10 degrees on the exhaust and keep the lift about the same, and put about 3 on the intake. And I'm telling you right now, that would be perfect, because I would be right in that 235, 242, put it on 110, keep it under 500 lift, and that thing would just scream. And that way
you can also take advantage of that 904 lifter diameter too, right? Instead of it being a Chevrolet grind on a Mopar cam blank, you can take advantage of that 904 lifter and really get after that aggressive under the curve numbers.
Yeah.
The 400 lift numbers.
Shane, could a guy send an email and talk about camshaft? Absolutely. In fact, a lot of people here, they do that. It's spolito@edelbrock.com. Now, remember, I'm not a salesman. I'm an engineer there. I'm very busy, but when I do, just don't take offense to it if I don't get it to you right away, because I'm in meetings and I have to talk to people and have to put on my little thinking cap most of the time. But I can, when I get to it, I can really hook you guys up. So spolito@edelbrock.com. And then if I design a camshaft, we have our own little guy, Alex. So I tell him exactly what I want. He's the salesman that can input everything like that. And he's kind of my little bitch. So I just tell him what to do. So,
I wouldn't say that, or nobody's gonna have a discount.
no, he's good, man. He's a good guy. He's one of the guys. If you were on the email chain that John Wilburn and was on, he was absolutely probably shocked at how me and Alex talk to each other, because we're like two buddies, in a locker room, and he was just laughing. I was like, oh, that's just how we do that kind of stuff. So
okay, this will be the last question we got to answer, because I do need to clarify a few things here.
Sure.
All right. So, Michael Schmidt's saying, Dallas, can you explain the 904 lifter benefit? Does it have a bigger face, or how does it improve low RPM flow? Okay, it has a bigger face, and that allows for you to run a more aggressive ramp on the inlet and the outlet side of the lobe. So on the oncoming, on the intake opening, and then the intake closing event, you can make the ramp much more aggressive. And instead of having a Chevrolet profile, which is set up for an 842, the smallest lifter out of all the engines, you can get more aggressive on the ramp and open it sooner, right? Meaning essentially that's what I was saying. The 400 numbers is like mid lift, right? When it's mid lift, you'll already be it's been open 10 degrees longer than it has before.
Sometimes even more than that. So what you're really looking at is the 200 number, because 200 is 300 valve lift if you were on a 1.5 rocker.
Right.
That's really where airflow is really starting to things are starting to move.
Velocity is taking off. Yeah.
It's taking off. With a 904 lifter, you can, between, like, say, if you have a duration at 50, say of 240, you can get like, say, 200 degrees with the 904, where you can only get, like, say, 150 on, say, an 842 lifter at 200, because you can ramp it in so much more. Because you can ramp it in so much more, you can set the velocity. Then you have the 300 numbers even higher. Then you can parabolic it slower, so it goes over the top, and then ramp it down and hold it open longer. So not only are you gaining the area into the curve, but it's really where it needs to be is happening is in the high velocity areas.
Right. And you're actually expanding the entire lobe on the intake and the intake closing side, the intake opening and closing side. So it's like it's broadening the whole entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And while actually meeting peak port velocity much sooner.
Yeah, and it holds it there longer. So, like, a lot of people look at the max flow numbers. I don't. I really look at 300, 400, and 500 lift, because if it's at 600 lift, it's flowing 340 CFM, but it's only flowing 200 at 300 lift. But you have another set of heads that flowing 300 CFM at 300 lift, but it only flows, say, like, a very low number, at 600. Who cares? Because it's going to see that 300 lift opening and closing, which means it's going to have a high velocity head, and it just sets that up, and so you have more area into the curve for it to flow into that.
Okay, so the one thing I wanted to clarify was, okay, if we're going to do a 50th birthday blowout, or whatever you want to call it, all hands on deck thrash, April 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th, right? So that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. On Sunday, I won't be working on anything, though. I'm going to tell you that right now. Sunday, I won't be working on anything.
Well, I won't be able to get there till Friday night, so I'll be able to work on it on Saturday.
That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. But
I'll be there.
Okay. And if you need to get in touch with me or Professor P or John Wilburn, there's a few people on here calling. Tebow, Tom Brown even has my own personal information. So if you need to get in touch with me to set it up, you want to be here, no problem. Come on out. What we'll do is we'll probably just set up the grill. You don't even have to bring anything unless you want to eat. And no, I'm kidding. And then we'll just probably do a live stream thrashing on my my junk.
Well, no, because Wilburn's got his live
Friday night.
Oh yeah, so on Saturday, let's do a live. You'll just sit up in the corner, and we'll have
we'll have one person maybe grilling and somebody else answering questions, and we'll just do a live for like 16 hours. What can we get done?
Right.
I think that would be cool.
We need to tell Dylan Levi about this. He needs to get his ass over there too.
He lives so far away, dude. I don't know where he's at the moment.
Oh,
And I'm
really?
sure since he's not in the chat, he's probably nowhere to be found at the moment. He's probably working somewhere. He works on like stuff all over the world, right?
Yeah. He did say that. Yeah. Tom Brown says next week we can talk about the difference or benefits of the 904 lifter and rollers. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's the whole point of the DLC coated lifters, is because then you don't have to run roller lifters. It's the whole point of it. So, all right, guys, with that, man, we're right at the 2 hours, man. This went by really, really, really fast.
Yeah, I did. And we didn't even get to say everything we wanted to talk about. So
Yeah,
I appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah.
And remember, if you're going to throw us like a super chat or whatever, just go over to WAF Racing, buy something from WAF that it will help you out. It helps us out big time in the long run, because for about a year there, Shane and I had to fight with StreamYard trying to boot us off and shaking us down for money and shutting down our channel because of it. And it was like, you know what? This fixes a lot of problems on our end. WAF Racing's taking care of us, so you guys go over and take care of WAF Racing.
Yeah, please do, because he's a great guy, and he literally, just said, you know what, I love what you guys do. You guys help me out, so I'm going to sponsor the channel. So because of that, he's got a little store there, and eventually we're going to start selling some one-off parts there. We're going to start designing some stuff and selling slant six stuff there, and he's got a full machine shop, everything there. Yeah,
sell some Buick stuff.
And sell some Buick stuff. So with that, guys, you guys take it easy, man. We'll see you guys next week. And then after that, so next week, and then the following week, we're going to be at Dallas's house following weekend.
Yeah, we're going to get this Buick thrashed up, hopefully.
With that, guys, you guys take it easy. Have a good week. See you later.
See you.